aren't his real children. They're not welcome at this funeral," the stepmother said, blocking the church door. The twins, 10 years old, stood in their black clothes, crying. Their grandmother held them. "You'll regret this, Evelyn." Inside, the eulogy had just finished when the doors opened. A lawyer walked in with police officers. "I'm sorry to interrupt, but Mr. Davis left specific instructions. His entire estate goes to his biological children, Michael and Maya." He looked at the stepmother. "You have 48 hours to vacate the property, and the children are allowed to say goodbye to their father." But before we dive into the full story, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. Now, subscribe to the channel and let's get started. Michael, wake up! Today is the day we say goodbye to your father. Patricia Miller stood in the doorway of the small bedroom. Her voice was soft but firm. Morning light came through the thin curtains. Michael Davis opened his eyes and looked down from the top bunk bed. His grandmother wore a black dress, and her gray hair was brushed neatly. He knew what day it was. He had been dreading it all week. "I'm awake, Grandma," Michael said quietly. Below him, his twin sister Maya stirred under her blanket. She rubbed her eyes and sat up slowly. Her long brown hair was tangled from sleep. She wore an old t-shirt with a faded cartoon character on it. She looked at Patricia with red, swollen eyes. She had been crying in her sleep again. "Good morning, my darling," Patricia said to Maya. "Come on now, we need to get ready." The twins lived in a small apartment on North High Street in Columbus, Ohio. The apartment had 2 bedrooms, 1 tiny bathroom, and a kitchen so small that only 2 people could stand in it at the same time. Michael and Maya shared 1 bedroom. Patricia slept in the other. They had lived here for 2 years, ever since their father sent them away. Michael climbed down the ladder from the top bunk. He walked to the small desk by the window. On the desk was a photograph in a wooden frame. The picture showed a man with short brown hair and green eyes. He wore a blue shirt and smiled at the camera. His arms were around 2 small children, a boy and a girl. They were laughing. The picture was taken 5 years ago at Goodale Park. Michael touched the glass gently. "I miss you, Dad," he whispered. Maya came and stood next to him. She looked at the photograph, too. Tears filled her eyes. "Why did he send us away?" Maya asked. "Did we do something wrong?" Michael put his arm around his sister's shoulder. He did not have an answer. He never did. Patricia appeared in the doorway again. She held 2 sets of black clothes in her arms. "Come now, children. We need to get dressed. The funeral starts at 10 o'clock this morning." Maya went to the bathroom first. She brushed her teeth and washed her face. She looked at herself in the small mirror above the sink. Her green eyes looked sad and tired. She touched the silver bracelet on her wrist. Her father had given it to her for her 9th birthday. She never took it off. She twisted it around and around her wrist, a habit she had when she was nervous. When Maya came out, Michael went in. He brushed his teeth quickly and splashed cold water on his face. He looked at himself in the mirror. He looked like his father. Same eyes, same nose, same serious expression. He wondered if his father had thought about him during the last 2 years. He wondered if his father had missed him at all. Patricia helped Maya put on a simple black dress. It was too big for her. Patricia had bought it at a thrift store on High Street 3 days ago. She zipped up the back and smoothed down the fabric. "You look beautiful, sweetheart," Patricia said. "I don't feel beautiful," Maya said softly. "I feel sad." "I know, my darling. I know." Michael dressed himself in black pants and a white button-up shirt. The collar felt tight around his neck. He wanted to wear his father's old baseball cap, the red one with the letter C on the front. But Patricia shook her head. "Not today, Michael. Leave the cap here." Michael put the cap back on the desk next to the photograph. He felt like he was losing another piece of his father. They went to the kitchen. Patricia had made scrambled eggs and toast. She put plates on the small table. But nobody was hungry. Maya pushed the eggs around her plate with her fork. Michael took one bite of toast and could not swallow. It felt like sand in his mouth. Patricia drank coffee and watched them with worried eyes. "You need to eat something," Patricia said gently. "I can't, Grandma," Maya said. "My stomach hurts." "Mine too," Michael added. Patricia did not push them. She understood. She cleared the plates and washed them in the sink. Then she took her car keys from the hook by the door. "It's time to go," she said. They walked down 2 flights of stairs and out to the parking lot behind the apartment building. Patricia's car was an old Honda sedan. It was blue with rust spots on the doors. The engine made a rattling sound when she started it. They drove through the streets of Columbus. It was a Saturday morning in late September. The air was cool and the sky was gray. Trees along the streets had started to turn orange and yellow. People walked on the sidewalks with coffee cups. Cars waited at red lights. Everything looked normal. But nothing felt normal to Michael and Maya. Their father was dead. Today, they would say goodbye to him forever. Maya sat in the back seat and stared out the window. She saw a father and daughter walking together. The father held the little girl's hand. They were smiling. Maya felt a sharp pain in her chest. She would never hold her father's hand again. "Grandma," Maya said quietly, "why did Evelyn make Dad send us away?" Patricia gripped the steering wheel tighter. Her knuckles turned white. She did not answer right away. She had asked herself that same question 1,000 times. "I don't know, sweetheart," Patricia finally said. "Some people are just unkind. Your father was sick and confused. He believed her lies." "But we didn't make too much noise," Maya said. "We tried to be quiet. We tried to be good." "I know you did, darling. This was never your fault. Never." Michael sat in the passenger seat with his arms crossed. His jaw was tight. He stared straight ahead. "She's a liar," Michael said. "She never loved Dad. She just wanted his money." Patricia glanced at him. She wanted to tell him he was right, but she did not want to fill his heart with more anger. "Let's just get through today," Patricia said softly. "One step at a time." They drove down East Broad Street. The city center passed by. Tall buildings, busy intersections, shops with bright signs. Then they turned onto a quieter street, lined with trees. Ahead, Michael saw the tall white steeple of St. Mary's Catholic Church. His stomach twisted into a knot. Patricia parked the car on the street near the church. They sat for a moment in silence. Nobody wanted to get out. Nobody wanted this to be real. "Are you ready?" Patricia asked. "No," Maya whispered. "But we have to do this, don't we?" "Yes, my darling, we do." They opened the car doors and stepped out. The air smelled like fallen leaves and rain. About 70 people stood outside the church. They wore dark clothes and talked in low voices. Michael recognized some faces. There was Mr. Henderson, who managed one of his father's hardware stores. There was Carol, who worked at the store on Main Street. There were neighbors from Maple Drive, the street where Michael and Maya used to live before Evelyn made them leave. Patricia held both twins' hands tightly. They walked across the street toward the church. The building was made of gray stone with tall windows and a red door. White flowers lined the front steps. Michael's heart pounded in his chest. Maya's hands trembled. They reached the bottom of the steps. People moved aside to let them pass. Some people nodded. Some people whispered. Patricia took the first step, then the second. Michael and Maya followed. Suddenly, the red church door swung open. A woman stepped out onto the top step. She wore an expensive black dress that fit her perfectly. Dark sunglasses covered her eyes even though the sky was cloudy. Her blonde hair was styled in perfect waves. She stood with her hands on her hips, her red lips pressed into a thin, hard line. It was Evelyn. She looked down at Michael and Maya, her face twisted with something cold and cruel. "Stop right there!" Evelyn said loudly. People stopped talking. Everyone turned to look. Patricia froze on the steps. Michael felt his grandmother's hand tighten around his. Maya made a small, scared sound. Evelyn pointed one long finger directly at the twins. "You two are not welcome here." Maya stepped backward and nearly fell. Patricia caught her. Michael felt his throat close up. He could not speak. He could not move. All around them, people stared. Evelyn took 2 steps down toward them. Her high heels clicked on the stone steps. Behind her, a woman with short red hair appeared in the doorway. Her name was Monica. She was Evelyn's friend. Monica crossed her arms and nodded at everything Evelyn said. "This is a private funeral for immediate family only," Evelyn said. Her voice was loud and sharp. "You children abandoned your father when he was dying. You have no right to be here now." Maya's mouth fell open. Tears spilled down her cheeks. "That's not true," Maya said, but her voice was so quiet, almost nobody heard her. Michael tried to speak. He wanted to shout that Evelyn was lying. He wanted to tell everyone that Evelyn was the one who sent them away. But his voice would not come. His chest felt tight. His hands shook. Patricia stepped in front of the twins. She lifted her chin and looked directly at Evelyn. "These children have every right to attend their father's funeral," Patricia said firmly. "Robert was their father. They loved him." Evelyn pulled her sunglasses down slightly and looked at Patricia with cold eyes. "Robert's real family is inside," Evelyn said. "These children made his life stressful. They made his illness worse. He had to send them away, just to get some peace." "That is a lie," Patricia said. Her voice shook with anger. "You told Robert to send them away. You manipulated a sick man." Monica stepped forward next to Evelyn. "How dare you speak to a grieving widow that way?" Monica said. "Evelyn took care of Robert every single day. She sacrificed everything for him." People on the sidewalk whispered to each other. Some looked uncomfortable, some looked confused. An older man in a gray suit shook his head but said nothing. A woman in a black hat frowned but turned away. Evelyn put her sunglasses back on. She pointed at Patricia. "If you do not leave right now, I will call the police," Evelyn said. "This is my husband's funeral. I decide who enters this church, and I say these children are not welcome." Michael looked around desperately. He saw Mr. Henderson standing near the church wall. Mr. Henderson had known Michael since he was a baby, but Mr. Henderson looked down at his shoes and did not say anything. He saw Carol, who always gave him candy when he visited the hardware store, but Carol looked away and pretended not to see him. Nobody helped them. Nobody spoke up for them. Maya sobbed loudly. She buried her face in Patricia's coat. Patricia wrapped her arms around both twins. Her own eyes filled with tears, but she did not let them fall. She would not give Evelyn that satisfaction. "Come, children," Patricia said quietly. "We will not make a scene." "But Grandma," Michael finally said. His voice cracked. We need to say goodbye to Dad." "I know, sweetheart. I know." Patricia turned and led the twins back down the steps. They walked slowly across the street. Behind them, they heard Evelyn's voice. "Finally, now we can have a proper service." People began walking up the church steps. They filed past Evelyn and Monica into the building. The twins stood on the curb and watched. Every person who walked inside was someone who got to say goodbye to Robert, but not them. Not his own children. Patricia sat down on the concrete curb. She pulled Michael and Maya down next to her. She put one arm around each of them and held them close. Cars drove past. The wind blew fallen leaves across the street. Inside the church, organ music began to play. "Why does she hate us so much?" Maya asked through her tears. "What did we do wrong?" Patricia kissed the top of Maya's head. "You did nothing wrong, my darling. Absolutely nothing. Some people are just filled with greed and cruelty. Evelyn is one of those people." "It's not fair," Michael said. His voice was hard and angry. "Dad was our father. We should be in there." "I know," Patricia said. "But sometimes life is not fair. Sometimes bad people win for a little while." "Just for a little while?" Maya asked. "Yes, sweetheart. Just for a little while. God sees everything. Justice will come." Through the tall church windows they heard Father O'Brien's voice. He was beginning the funeral service. He talked about Robert Davis, a good man who worked hard and loved his family. He talked about Robert's 3 hardware stores and how he treated his employees fairly. He talked about Robert's kindness and generosity. Maya twisted her silver bracelet around and around her wrist. Michael picked at his fingernails until they hurt. Patricia closed her eyes and prayed silently. She prayed for strength. She prayed for justice. She prayed that somehow her grandchildren would get the goodbye they deserved. 30 minutes passed. The sun came out from behind the clouds for a moment, then disappeared again. A few people walked past on the sidewalk. They looked at the 3 people sitting on the curb, but did not stop to ask if they needed help. Suddenly, a black sedan pulled up and parked across the street from the church. The engine turned off. A man stepped out of the driver's side. He was tall and thin with gray hair. He wore an expensive gray suit and polished black shoes. He carried a leather briefcase. He looked at the church, then looked at Patricia and the twins sitting on the curb. His expression became serious. The man walked across the street toward them. His footsteps were confident and purposeful. He stopped in front of Patricia and removed his sunglasses. His blue eyes were kind but sharp. "Excuse me," the man said. "Are you Patricia Miller?" Patricia looked up at him, surprised. "Yes, I am. Who are you?" The man reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a business card. He handed it to Patricia. "My name is Daniel Thompson. I am an attorney with Thompson and Associates law firm here in Columbus. I was Robert Davis's lawyer for 15 years. Patricia took the card and looked at it. Michael and Maya looked up at the man with red, swollen eyes. "These must be Michael and Maya," Mr. Thompson said gently. He crouched down so he was at eye level with the twins. "I am very sorry for your loss. Your father was a good man and a good friend." "Thank you," Michael said quietly. "Why are you sitting out here?" Mr. Thompson asked. "The funeral is inside." "That woman won't let us in," Maya said, pointing at the church. "She said we're not family." Mr. Thompson's jaw tightened. He stood up and looked at the church with hard eyes. "Evelyn," he said. It was not a question. It was a statement full of disgust. Yes, Patricia said. She threatened to call the police if we tried to enter. Mr. Thompson opened his briefcase and pulled out a thick folder of papers. He looked through them quickly, then closed the briefcase with a sharp snap. Mrs. Miller, I need you and the children to wait here just a little bit longer, Mr. Thompson said. Can you do that for me? Why? Patricia asked. What are you going to do? Mr. Thompson's face was calm, but his eyes burned with determination. I am going to do what your son asked me to do. I am going to make sure justice is served today. I don't understand, Patricia said. You will very soon, Mr. Thompson said. Robert made sure of it. He knew exactly what kind of person Evelyn was, and he made a plan. Hope flickered in Patricia's chest for the first time that morning. What kind of plan? She asked. A plan to protect his children and expose the truth, Mr. Thompson said. Robert changed his will 6 months ago. He gave me very specific instructions about when and where to read it. When? Patricia asked. Today, right now, at the funeral, in front of everyone. Maya looked at her grandmother with wide eyes. Does that mean we can go inside? She asked. Mr. Thompson smiled slightly. Very soon, sweetheart. Very soon. First, I need to do something inside. Wait here. I promise you, everything is about to change. Mr. Thompson turned and walked toward the church steps. He climbed them quickly and confidently. He pushed open the red door and disappeared inside. Patricia heard his footsteps echo in the church hall. Then the door closed. Michael stared at the church door. His heart pounded. What do you think he's going to do? Michael asked. I don't know, Patricia said, but your father trusted him, so we will trust him too. Inside the church, they could hear Father O'Brien still speaking. Then suddenly, his voice stopped. There was silence. Then they heard a new voice. It was Mr. Thompson. His voice was clear and strong. He was speaking loudly enough that people outside could hear him through the windows. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the interruption. My name is Daniel Thompson, and I am the attorney for the late Robert Davis. I have a legal obligation to read his last will and testament at this time, as he specifically requested. Patricia sat up straighter. Michael and Maya looked at each other with confused hope. Inside the church, someone shouted. It sounded like Evelyn. Her voice was high and angry. What is happening? Maya whispered. I think, Patricia said slowly, your father is about to save you one last time. Patricia pulled the twins closer. They sat on the cold curb and listened. Inside the church, Evelyn's voice grew louder. She was shouting at Mr. Thompson. Her words were not clear, but her anger was obvious. Then they heard Mr. Thompson's voice again. It was calm and steady. He did not shout. He simply spoke. Michael wanted to run inside. He wanted to see what was happening. But Patricia held his arm gently. Wait, Patricia said. Let Mr. Thompson do what he needs to do. But what if she makes him leave too? Michael asked. She cannot, Patricia said. He is a lawyer. He has legal rights. Maya leaned against her grandmother's shoulder. She felt tired. She had cried so much her head hurt. She closed her eyes and tried to remember her father's face when he was healthy and happy. Before Evelyn, before the cancer, before everything went wrong. Grandma, Maya said softly, why does Evelyn hate us so much? We never did anything to her. Patricia stroked Maya's hair gently. I have asked myself that question many times, sweetheart, Patricia said. I do not have a good answer. Some people are filled with anger and greed. They do not care who they hurt. But we were just kids, Maya said. We were quiet. We tried to be good. I know you did, darling. This was never about you. Evelyn wanted your father's money. You and Michael were in her way. So she removed you. Michael clenched his fists. His fingernails dug into his palms. I hate her, Michael said. I know, Patricia said. And you have every right to feel that way. But do not let hate fill your heart forever. Your father would not want that. Michael looked at his grandmother. Tears filled his eyes, but he did not let them fall. I just want to remember Dad the way he used to be, Michael said. Before he got sick. Before he met her. Then tell me a good memory, Patricia said gently. Tell me something that makes you smile. Michael thought for a moment. He closed his eyes and remembered. Do you remember when Dad taught me how to ride a bike? Michael asked. Of course I do, Patricia said. At Goodale Park. You were 7 years old. Yeah, Michael said. A small smile appeared on his face. I was so scared. The bike felt too big. I thought I would fall and break my arm. But you did not, Patricia said. No, Dad ran next to me. He held the back of the seat. He told me to keep pedaling. He told me not to look down. Just look ahead. Maya opened her eyes and listened. She remembered that day, too. He let go, and you kept riding, Maya said. You didn't even know he let go until you stopped. I turned around and he was way behind me, Michael said. He was cheering and clapping. He looked so proud. He was proud, Patricia said. He talked about that day for weeks. After that, we rode our bikes all around the park, Michael said. Then he bought me ice cream, chocolate chip. We sat on a bench and he told me he loved me. Patricia squeezed Michael's shoulder. That is a beautiful memory, sweetheart. Hold on to that. Maya sat up a little. She touched her silver bracelet. I have a good memory too, Maya said. Tell us, darling, Patricia said. Every Saturday morning, Dad and I made chocolate chip cookies, Maya said. We did it for 2 years, every single Saturday. I remember, Patricia said. The house always smelled wonderful. Dad let me crack the eggs, Maya said. I was so careful. I didn't want any shells to fall in, and I got to pour in the chocolate chips. Dad always stole one and ate it. Michael smiled. And you always pretended to be mad, Michael said. Yeah, Maya said. She smiled through her tears. I would say, Dad, stop eating the ingredients, and he would laugh. Then he would steal another one. What happened after you baked them? Patricia asked. We sat at the kitchen table and ate warm cookies with cold milk, Maya said. We watched cartoons on TV. Dad always said my cookies were the best in the whole world. Patricia's eyes filled with tears. She kissed the top of Maya's head. Those are precious memories, my darlings. Nobody can take those away from you. Not Evelyn. Not anyone. They sat quietly for a moment. The wind blew gently. Leaves swirled on the street. Inside the church, the voices stopped. There was silence. Then the organ music started again, soft and slow. Inside the church, Evelyn sat in the front row. Her heart pounded. Mr. Thompson stood at the front holding his briefcase, but he had stopped talking. He was waiting. Father O'Brien stood next to him, looking uncomfortable. Evelyn turned and looked at the people behind her. They were all staring at her. She could not read their expressions. 3 rows behind Evelyn, a man sat quietly. His name was Kyle Richmond. He was 32 years old with dark hair and a strong jaw. He wore an expensive black suit. Evelyn bought it for him 2 weeks ago using Robert's credit card. Kyle checked his phone under his coat. He scrolled through pictures of houses in Florida. Beach houses with pools. He smiled to himself. Soon, he and Evelyn would leave this boring city behind. They would take Robert's money and live by the ocean. Kyle did not feel bad about Robert. He never met Robert. To Kyle, Robert was just a sick old man who had money. Evelyn deserved that money. She had to pretend to love a dying man for 2 years. That was hard work. Kyle believed she earned it. Next to Evelyn, Monica leaned close and whispered, "Are you okay?" Monica asked. "I'm fine," Evelyn whispered back. "That lawyer is just trying to cause trouble." "Can he really read the will right now?" Monica asked. "I don't know," Evelyn said. "But it doesn't matter. Robert left everything to me. I'm his wife." Monica nodded and patted Evelyn's hand. "Of course he did. You were so good to him." Evelyn forced tears into her eyes. She was very good at crying when she needed to. She dabbed at her face with a tissue. People around her looked at her with sympathy. Good. They believed her. Father O'Brien cleared his throat. He looked tired and sad. He had known Robert for many years. He baptized Michael and Maya when they were babies. He knew the twins were sitting outside on the curb. It made his heart hurt, but he did not know what to do. He was a priest, not a judge. He could not force Evelyn to let the children inside. "Let us continue," Father O'Brien said quietly. "We are here to remember and celebrate the life of Robert Davis. Would anyone like to share a memory or say a few words?" The church was silent. People looked at each other. Nobody stood up. Finally, Evelyn rose slowly from her seat. She removed her sunglasses and held them in one hand. Her eyes were red from fake tears. She walked to the front of the church. She stood next to Robert's casket. She placed one hand on the smooth wood. "Thank you, Father," Evelyn said. Her voice trembled. "I would like to say something." She turned to face the crowd. She took a deep breath. "Robert was the love of my life," Evelyn said. "From the moment I met him at the hospital, I knew he was special. He was kind. He was strong, even when he was sick. I dedicated every moment of the last 2 years to caring for him." She paused and wiped her eyes with the tissue. "I gave up everything to be by his side," Evelyn continued. "I stopped working. I stopped seeing my friends. I spent every day making sure Robert was comfortable, making sure he had his medicine, making sure he was not alone." Monica nodded from her seat. Some people in the crowd looked moved. An older woman in the back wiped her eyes. "Robert knew how much I loved him," Evelyn said. "He told me every day that I saved his life, that I gave him hope. And when he passed away last month, he was holding my hand. He looked at me and said he loved me." Evelyn's voice broke. She covered her face with her hand. Her shoulders shook. People in the church felt sorry for her. They believed every word. Mr. Henderson sat near the back. He frowned. Something felt wrong. He remembered visiting Robert 2 months ago at the house on Maple Drive. Evelyn barely spoke to Robert that day. She stayed in the kitchen on her phone. She did not look like a loving wife. But Mr. Henderson said nothing. He did not want to cause trouble. Kyle watched Evelyn from his seat. He was impressed. She was a good actress. She almost made him believe her lies. He checked his phone again. 1 more hour and this funeral would be over. Then they could start planning their escape. Evelyn lowered her hand. She looked at the crowd with wet eyes. "I will miss Robert every day for the rest of my life," Evelyn said. "He was my everything." She walked back to her seat. People whispered words of comfort as she passed. Monica hugged her. Evelyn sat down and put her sunglasses back on. She felt confident. She felt victorious. Nobody suspected the truth. The will belonged to her. The money belonged to her. Those brat children got nothing. Father O'Brien stepped forward to continue the service. He opened his Bible. But before he could speak, the church doors at the back suddenly swung open. The loud bang echoed through the entire building. Everyone turned around. 2 police officers walked through the doors. One was a large man with a serious face. The other was a woman with sharp eyes. They wore full uniforms with badges that caught the light. Behind them, Daniel Thompson walked in carrying his briefcase. The church went completely silent. Mr. Thompson walked down the center aisle. His footsteps echoed on the stone floor. The large police officer walked on his left. The female officer walked on his right. Their boots made heavy sounds with each step. Nobody in the church moved. Nobody spoke. 70 people sat frozen in their seats. Evelyn's face went pale. She gripped the edge of the wooden pew. Her knuckles turned white. Her sunglasses slipped down her nose. She pushed them back up quickly. Mr. Thompson reached the front of the church. He nodded respectfully to Father O'Brien. "Father, I apologize for this interruption," Mr. Thompson said. His voice was clear and professional. "But I have a legal obligation that cannot wait." Father O'Brien looked confused and uncomfortable. He glanced at Evelyn, then back at Mr. Thompson. "What kind of obligation?" Father O'Brien asked. "I am Daniel Thompson, attorney at law. I represent the estate of Robert Davis. Mr. Davis left very specific written instructions with me. He requested that I read his last will and testament at his funeral service in front of all his friends and family." Evelyn stood up quickly. Her chair scraped loudly against the floor. "This is completely inappropriate," Evelyn said. Her voice was sharp and loud. "You cannot interrupt a funeral. This is disrespectful to my husband's memory." Mr. Thompson turned to look at her. His expression did not change. "Mrs. Davis, I understand this is unusual, but your late husband's instructions were very clear. He wanted this will read today, at this time, in this place." "I am his widow," Evelyn said. "I do not give you permission to do this. You will wait until after the funeral." "Your permission is not required," Mr. Thompson said calmly. "The will is a legal document. Mr. Davis had every right to decide when and how it would be read." The large police officer stepped forward. He was Sergeant Mike Rodriguez. He had been a police officer for 20 years. He looked directly at Evelyn. "Ma'am, please sit down," Sergeant Rodriguez said. "Let the attorney do his job." Evelyn looked at the sergeant. She looked at the other officer. The woman officer was Jennifer Hayes. Officer Hayes stood with her arms at her sides, ready. Evelyn realized she could not stop this. She sat down slowly. Her hands shook. Mr. Thompson opened his briefcase. He pulled out a thick document with many pages. The pages were white with typed black letters. At the bottom of several pages were signatures. Official stamps covered the last page. "This is the last will and testament of Robert James Davis," Mr. Thompson began. "Signed and witnessed on March 15th of this year. It was notarized by Linda Freeman at the Franklin County Clerk's office. It was witnessed by 3 individuals whose signatures appear at the bottom. He paused and looked around the church. "I will now read the will in its entirety, as Mr. Davis requested." Evelyn's heart pounded. She felt sweat on her back. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Robert never told her about changing the will. He could not have changed it. She was his wife. Everything went to the wife. That was the law. Mr. Thompson cleared his throat and began reading. "I, Robert James Davis, being of sound mind and body, do hereby declare this to be my last will and testament. I revoke all previous wills and codicils." People in the church leaned forward. They wanted to hear every word. "I leave my entire estate to my children, Michael Robert Davis and Maya Elizabeth Davis, to be held in trust until they reach the age of 18. Gasps filled the church. People turned to each other with wide eyes. Monica's mouth fell open. She looked at Evelyn in shock. Mr. Thompson continued reading. His voice never wavered. "My estate includes the following assets. First, the family home located at 2847 Maple Drive in the Clintonville neighborhood of Columbus, Ohio. This property is fully paid and has no mortgage." Evelyn's face turned bright red. She shook her head back and forth. "Second, all 3 Davis hardware stores, one located on Main Street, one on High Street, and one on Broad Street. These businesses and all their inventory, equipment, and assets belong to my children." Mr. Henderson sat up straighter. He smiled slightly. "Third, 2 vehicles, a 2019 Toyota Camry and a 2020 Honda CR-V. Both titles will be transferred to my children's trust." Mr. Thompson turned the page. "Fourth, all bank accounts in my name at Huntington Bank and Chase Bank. The total amount in these accounts is $450,000. More gasps. That was a lot of money. "Fifth, my life insurance policy through State Farm Insurance Company. The death benefit is $300,000. This will be paid directly to the trust for my children." People whispered loudly now. They could not stay quiet. Mr. Thompson looked directly at Evelyn. "To my wife, Evelyn Carter Davis, I leave nothing." The whispers exploded into shocked voices. Some people stood up. Others covered their mouths. Monica stared at Evelyn like she did not recognize her. Evelyn jumped to her feet. "That is a lie!" Evelyn screamed. "That will is fake! Robert would never do that to me. I was his wife. I took care of him." Mr. Thompson did not raise his voice. He simply continued reading. "I leave nothing to my wife because I have discovered evidence of her infidelity and financial theft. 6 months ago, I found credit card statements hidden in her personal drawer. She spent over $80,000 on personal items, including jewelry, designer clothes, expensive dinners, and hotel rooms." Evelyn's face went from red to white. She looked around desperately. "I hired a private investigator named Susan Chen from Columbus Private Investigations," Mr. Thompson continued. "Ms. Chen followed my wife for 3 weeks. She documented my wife's affair with a man named Kyle Richmond." Every head in the church turned. People looked around trying to figure out who Kyle Richmond was. Kyle, sitting 3 rows behind Evelyn, froze. His face went pale. He slowly stood up and tried to move toward the side door, but Sergeant Rodriguez was already walking toward him. "Sit down, sir," Sergeant Rodriguez said firmly. Kyle sat back down. His hands shook. Mr. Thompson kept reading. "Ms. Chen took photographs and videos of my wife and Mr. Richmond meeting at the Marriott Hotel on Olentangy River Road, at Table 21 restaurant on High Street, and at various other locations throughout Columbus. This evidence has been provided to my attorney and is available for legal proceedings if necessary." Monica stood up. She looked at Evelyn with disgust and betrayal. She grabbed her purse and walked quickly toward the exit. She did not say a word. She just left. Evelyn looked around frantically. People stared at her with anger and disappointment. Mr. Henderson shook his head. Carol from the hardware store crossed her arms and frowned. Other people whispered and pointed. "This cannot be happening," Evelyn whispered. But everyone heard her in the silent church. Father O'Brien stood very still. His face showed deep sadness. He had known. Robert had told him. And now everyone else knew too. Mr. Thompson closed the will document, but then he reached into his briefcase again. He pulled out a white envelope. It was sealed with wax. On the front, in Robert's handwriting, were words everyone could see. "To my children, Michael and Maya." Mr. Thompson held up the envelope. "Robert Davis also left a personal letter," Mr. Thompson said. "He requested that I read it aloud immediately following the will." He carefully broke the wax seal. Mr. Thompson unfolded the letter slowly. His hands trembled slightly. The paper was cream-colored and covered in Robert's handwriting. The letters were shaky in some places. Robert had been very sick when he wrote this. Mr. Thompson took a deep breath. His voice was steady, but emotion filled his eyes. "My dearest Michael and Maya," Mr. Thompson began reading. Outside the church, sitting on the curb, Patricia heard those words through the open window. She sat up straight. Michael and Maya heard them too. They looked at each other with wide eyes. Their father's words. Words meant for them. "If you are hearing this letter, then I am gone," Mr. Thompson continued reading. "And I am so very sorry." Inside the church, people sat completely still. Some people cried quietly. Father O'Brien bowed his head. "I need to tell you the truth about the last 2 years of my life. The truth about why I sent you away. The truth about the biggest mistake I ever made." Maya grabbed Patricia's hand. Tears already ran down her face. Michael leaned forward, listening to every single word. "When the doctors told me I had cancer, I was terrified," Mr. Thompson read. "I was not afraid of dying. I was afraid of leaving you both alone. I was afraid you would grow up without a father. That fear made me weak. That fear made me make terrible choices." Mr. Thompson's voice cracked slightly. He cleared his throat and continued. "I met Evelyn at the hospital during my treatments. She was kind to me at first. She smiled and brought me water. She held my hand when I felt sick. I was lonely and scared. I believed she cared about me. 6 months after we met, I married her. I thought I was giving you a mother figure. I thought I was giving our family stability. I was wrong." Evelyn sat frozen in her seat. Her face was like stone. She stared straight ahead. She did not move. "After the wedding, Evelyn changed," the letter continued. "She told me that you children made too much noise. She said the noise and stress were making my cancer worse. She said I needed complete peace and quiet to have any chance of survival. She said you needed to live with your grandmother Patricia for a little while, just until I got stronger." Patricia closed her eyes. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She had known. She had known Evelyn was lying. But Robert had not listened. "I believed her," Mr. Thompson read. "I was in so much pain. The medicine made me confused. I was not thinking clearly. I thought I was protecting my health so I could survive and come back to you. So I sent you away." Michael's hands formed fists. He wanted to scream. He wanted to cry. He did both. "That was 2 years ago," the letter said. "2 years that I can never get back. 2 years that I stole from us. And I am so sorry." Maya sobbed into Patricia's shoulder. Patricia held her tight and rocked her gently. "I knew something was wrong," Mr. Thompson continued. "Every Sunday when you visited, I saw the sadness in your eyes. I saw how Evelyn rushed you out of the house. I saw how she never left us alone together. But I was too weak to fight her. I was too sick to think clearly." Mr. Thompson turned to the next page. His own eyes were wet now. "Then, 6 months ago, I was looking for my insurance papers. I found credit card statements hidden in Evelyn's drawer. Statements for cards I did not know existed. She had spent over $80,000 on jewelry, on expensive clothes, on hotel rooms, on restaurants." People in the church gasped again. They shook their heads in disbelief. "I did not understand at first," the letter explained. "Then I found receipts. Receipts for 2 people, 2 dinners, 2 hotel rooms. Evelyn was not spending that money on herself. She was spending it on someone else." Kyle tried to stand up again. Sergeant Rodriguez put a firm hand on his shoulder and pushed him back down. "I hired a private investigator," Mr. Thompson read. "Her name is Susan Chen. I asked her to follow Evelyn, to find out the truth. She followed her for 3 weeks. She took photographs, she took videos, and she confirmed what I already knew in my heart. Evelyn was having an affair with a man named Kyle Richmond." Every person in the church turned to look at Kyle. He stared at the floor. His face was bright red. He looked like he wanted to disappear. "The photographs showed them together at hotels," the letter continued, "at restaurants, holding hands, kissing, laughing. While I was dying in my bed, my wife was spending my money on another man." Father O'Brien wiped his eyes with his hand. Even he was crying now. "I was heartbroken," Mr. Thompson read. Robert's words filled the church. "But I was also angry. Angry at Evelyn for lying. Angry at myself for being fooled. But mostly, I was heartbroken because I finally understood the truth. Evelyn never loved me. She only wanted my money, and she used my sickness to steal my children from me." Michael stood up from the curb outside. He could not sit still anymore. He paced back and forth. His whole body shook with anger and sadness. "I wanted to throw her out of my house," the letter said. "I wanted to bring you home immediately. But I was so weak. Some days I could not get out of bed. Some days I could barely speak. I knew I was dying. I knew I did not have much time left. So I did the only thing I could do. I called my attorney, Daniel Thompson, and I changed my will." Mr. Thompson's voice shook as he read his own name. This letter was personal to him, too. Robert had been his friend. "I left everything to you, my children," the letter said. "The house where you grew up, the stores that I built with my own hands, the money I saved, the insurance policy, everything. I left Evelyn nothing, because she deserves nothing." Evelyn's sunglasses fell off her face. They clattered on the floor. She did not pick them up. Her eyes were wide and wild. "I wanted to tell you all of this in person," Mr. Thompson continued. "I wanted to hold you and explain everything. I wanted to bring you home. But Evelyn watched me constantly. She controlled who visited me. She listened to every phone call. and my body was failing. Some days I could not speak without coughing. Some days I slept for 20 hours. The letter went on. So I wrote this letter instead. I gave it to Mr. Thompson with strict instructions. He was to read it at my funeral, in front of everyone, so you would know the truth. So everyone would know the truth. Patricia stood up from the curb. She held both twins close to her. Michael and Maya, I need you to know something, Mr. Thompson read. His voice was thick with emotion. I loved you every single day, every single hour. I kept your photographs next to my bed. I looked at them when I woke up and before I went to sleep. I thought about the day I taught you to ride a bike, Michael. I thought about baking cookies with you every Saturday, Maya. Those were the happiest days of my life. Maya cried so hard she could barely breathe. Michael's face was wet with tears. Even Patricia sobbed openly. I made a terrible mistake sending you away, the letter said. I was weak and scared and foolish. But please know this. My love for you never died. My love for you was the strongest thing in my life. Stronger than the cancer. Stronger than the pain. Stronger than death. Mr. Thompson had to pause. He wiped his eyes. Several people in the church were crying loudly now. Please, forgive me, Mr. Thompson read. Please remember the good times. Remember riding bikes. Remember baking cookies. Remember that I loved you with my whole heart. And know that even though my body failed me, I did everything I could to protect you. This will is my final gift to you. This letter is my final apology. The letter was almost finished. Be strong, my children. Stay together. Take care of each other. Go to college. Build good lives. Be happy. And know that I will always be watching over you. I will always be proud of you. I will always love you. Mr. Thompson's voice broke on the last line. Your father, who loves you forever. Robert James Davis. The church was silent except for crying. Mr. Thompson carefully folded the letter and placed it back in the envelope. Tears ran down his face. He did not try to hide them. Father O'Brien covered his face with both hands and wept. Mr. Henderson wiped his eyes with his sleeve. Carol sobbed into a tissue. Almost everyone in the church was crying. Evelyn stood up suddenly. Her chair fell backward with a loud crash. "This is a forgery!" she screamed. Her voice echoed off the stone walls. She pointed at Mr. Thompson with a shaking finger. Her face twisted with rage and panic. "That will is fake! That letter is fake! Robert would never write those things! He loved me!" Mr. Thompson looked at her calmly. He did not raise his voice. He simply reached into his briefcase again and pulled out more papers. "Mrs. Davis, this will was signed on March 15th of this year," Mr. Thompson said. "That was exactly 6 months ago. It was signed in my office at 2 o'clock in the afternoon." "You are lying!" Evelyn screamed. "Robert never went to your office." "Yes, he did," Mr. Thompson said. "He called me himself and asked me to come pick him up. He told you he had a doctor's appointment, but he came to see me instead." Evelyn's mouth opened, but no words came out. She did remember that day. Robert had insisted on going to an appointment alone. She had been suspicious, but he refused to let her come. She thought he went to see his cancer doctor. "The will was witnessed by 3 people," Mr. Thompson continued. "Their signatures are all here on the document. The law requires at least 2 witnesses for a will to be valid. Mr. Davis had 3. He held up the papers so people could see the signatures at the bottom. The first witness was Susan Chen, the private investigator who documented your affair. People in the church whispered. Some shook their heads in disgust. The second witness was Dr. Harold Martinez from Ohio State University Medical Center. He was Mr. Davis's oncologist. He confirmed that Mr. Davis was of sound mind when he signed this will. Mr. Thompson paused and looked directly at Father O'Brien. The third witness was Father Patrick O'Brien, the priest of this church. Every head turned to look at Father O'Brien. The priest stood near the altar. He looked old and tired. He nodded slowly. "It is true," Father O'Brien said. His voice was quiet but clear. "Robert came to me 2 months before he died. He was very weak. I had to help him walk from the car into the church office. He showed me photographs that the investigator had taken. Photographs of Mrs. Davis with another man." Evelyn's face went completely white. "Robert was heartbroken," Father O'Brien continued. "He cried in my office. He said he had been a fool. He said he let a greedy woman steal his children from him. He asked me to witness his will. He asked me to pray for his children. I did both." Father O'Brien looked at Evelyn with sad eyes. "I tried to convince Robert to tell the truth while he was still alive," Father O'Brien said. "I told him he should bring his children home. He should explain everything to them. But he was too weak and too ashamed. He said he could not face them. So he wrote the letter instead." Evelyn shook her head violently back and forth. "No, no, this is not real. You are all lying. You are trying to steal my money." Mr. Thompson remained perfectly calm. "Mrs. Davis, the will was also notarized. A notary public is a person authorized by the state to witness signatures and verify identity. The notary who worked on this will is named Linda Freeman. She works at the Franklin County Clerk's office. Her signature and official seal are on the last page." He showed the document to Sergeant Rodriguez and Officer Hayes. They both examined it carefully. "This is legitimate," Sergeant Rodriguez said. "These are real signatures and a real notary seal." Officer Hayes nodded in agreement. "This is a legal document," she said. Mr. Thompson put the will back in his briefcase. Then he looked at Evelyn directly. His voice became firm and official. "Evelyn Carter Davis, you have exactly 48 hours to remove your personal belongings from the property at 2847 Maple Drive. That is 2 days. If you are still on the property after 48 hours, you will be arrested for trespassing." "You cannot do this," Evelyn shouted. "That is my house. I live there." "No, Mrs. Davis. That house belongs to Michael and Maya Davis. It always belonged to them. Their father built that house before he ever met you." Mr. Thompson continued speaking in his calm, professional voice. "Additionally, all bank accounts in Robert Davis's name have been frozen as of today. You no longer have access to any funds. All credit cards in your name that were linked to Mr. Davis's accounts have been canceled. You cannot withdraw money. You cannot make purchases." Evelyn's legs felt weak. She grabbed the pew to steady herself. "The 3 hardware stores now belong to the Children's Trust," Mr. Thompson said. "You have no ownership. You have no authority. If you attempt to enter those businesses, you will be arrested." Evelyn looked around desperately. She needed someone to support her, someone to defend her. She looked at the people in the pews, but everyone stared at her with anger and disgust. Nobody smiled. Nobody showed sympathy. She turned and looked for Kyle, but his seat was empty. He was gone. He had slipped out the side door while everyone was focused on Mr. Thompson. Kyle was probably already in his car, driving away as fast as he could. He wanted nothing to do with this disaster. Mr. Henderson stood up from his seat. He was a big man with gray hair and strong arms. He had worked for Robert for 20 years. He managed the Main Street hardware store. "I always knew something was wrong with you," Mr. Henderson said loudly. His voice was angry. "Robert was a good man, a kind man, and you poisoned him. You stole his children from him. You should be ashamed." "I agree," Carol said. She stood up too. Robert talked about his children constantly. He missed them every day, and you kept them away from him. "You are a terrible person." Other people nodded and voiced their agreement. An older man in the back called Evelyn a thief. A woman near the front said Evelyn should go to jail. Evelyn felt the walls closing in. Everyone hated her. Everyone knew the truth. Her carefully built lies had collapsed completely. She had nothing. No money, no house, no respect, no future. She looked at Father O'Brien one last time. "Please," she said. Her voice was desperate now. "You have to help me. I have nowhere to go." Father O'Brien shook his head slowly. "You made your choices, Evelyn. You lied. You stole. You hurt innocent children. Now you must face the consequences." Evelyn grabbed her purse from the pew. She did not look at anyone. She pushed past people and ran toward the side exit. Her high heels clicked rapidly on the stone floor. She shoved the door open and disappeared outside. The door slammed shut behind her. Sergeant Rodriguez looked at Officer Hayes. "Follow her," he said. "Make sure she leaves the property. Make sure she does not cause any more trouble." Officer Hayes nodded and walked quickly toward the exit. The church was silent for a long moment. Then Mr. Henderson started clapping. Slowly at first, then faster. Other people joined him. Soon the entire church was applauding. They were clapping for Robert. They were clapping for justice. They were clapping for 2 children who finally got their father's love and protection. Mr. Thompson closed his briefcase. He turned to Father O'Brien. "Thank you, Father, for your honesty and courage." "I only did what Robert asked me to do," Father O'Brien said. "I only told the truth." Mr. Thompson nodded. Then he walked toward the back of the church. He pushed open the red doors and stepped outside. Sergeant Rodriguez followed him. The cool air felt good after the tension inside. Patricia still sat on the curb with Michael and Maya. All 3 of them had heard everything through the windows. Their faces were wet with tears. But they were not tears of sadness anymore. They were tears of relief. Tears of love. Tears of finally understanding. Mr. Thompson walked across the street toward them. He knelt down so he was at eye level with the twins. His kind blue eyes looked at each of them. "Your father loved you very much," Mr. Thompson said softly. "He made mistakes, but in the end, he protected you. He made sure you would be safe and cared for." "Thank you for reading the letter," Maya whispered. "Thank you for telling everyone the truth." "It was my honor," Mr. Thompson said. "Your father was my friend. I promised him I would take care of you, and I will keep that promise." Michael wiped his eyes with his sleeve. "Can we go inside now?" Michael asked. "Can we say goodbye to our dad?" Mr. Thompson smiled gently. "Yes, it is time." Patricia stood up slowly from the curb. Her knees ached from sitting on the cold concrete. She held out both hands to Michael and Maya. The twins took her hands and stood. Their legs felt shaky. Their hearts pounded. They were finally going to say goodbye to their father. Mr. Thompson led them across the street toward the church. Sergeant Rodriguez held the red door open for them. Patricia walked in first, still holding the twins' hands tightly. They stepped into the church together. The inside was cool and quiet. Sunlight streamed through the tall stained glass windows, creating colored patterns on the stone floor. The wooden pews were filled with people. About 70 faces turned to look at the twins. Then, something unexpected happened. Mr. Henderson stood up. He started clapping. The sound echoed through the church. Then Carol stood up and clapped too. Then more people stood. One by one, every person in the church rose to their feet. They clapped softly and respectfully. Some people smiled at the children. Some people nodded. Some people wiped tears from their eyes. Maya squeezed her grandmother's hand. She could not believe what she was seeing. These people were showing support. These people were telling them they belonged here. Michael's throat felt tight. He tried to swallow but could not. He had felt so much anger and shame just 30 minutes ago. Now he felt something different. He felt accepted. He felt welcomed. Patricia walked slowly down the center aisle. Her shoes made soft sounds on the stone floor. Michael's footsteps echoed next to her. Maya's footsteps were the quietest. The twins walked between rows of people who watched them with kind eyes. Mr. Henderson had tears running down his cheeks. He reached out and gently touched Michael's shoulder as they passed. Michael looked up at him. Mr. Henderson nodded and whispered, "Your father was proud of you." Carol reached out and squeezed Maya's hand for just a moment. Her eyes were red from crying. "You are loved, sweetheart," Carol whispered. "Never forget that." They continued walking. The aisle seemed very long. At the front of the church, near the altar where Father O'Brien stood, was their father's casket. The casket was made of dark, polished wood. It reflected the colored light from the windows. It sat on a metal stand covered with a white cloth. All around the casket were flowers. White lilies, dozens of them. The sweet smell filled the air. Maya remembered that her father loved white lilies. Every spring, he planted them in the garden behind the house on Maple Drive. He said they reminded him of peace and hope. Maya started crying again, but she kept walking forward. They reached the front of the church. Patricia stopped and let go of their hands. She stepped back slightly, giving the twins space. Michael and Maya stood side by side in front of their father's casket. The casket was closed. They could not see his face. The wood was smooth and shiny. On top of the casket was a spray of more white lilies tied with a white ribbon. A small brass plate on the casket read, "Robert James Davis." Maya's hands trembled. She reached out slowly and placed her palm flat on the smooth wood. It felt cool under her hand. She closed her eyes. Fresh tears rolled down her cheeks. "Daddy," Maya whispered. Her voice was so soft that only Michael could hear her. "I forgive you. I know you loved us. I know you were sick and confused. I know Evelyn lied to you." She paused and took a shaky breath. "I will remember all the good times," Maya continued. "I will remember baking cookies every Saturday morning. I will remember how you let me crack the eggs. I will remember how you stole chocolate chips and made me laugh. I will remember that you loved me." Michael stood stiff and silent next to his sister. He stared at the casket. His jaw was clenched. His hands were fists at his sides. He had promised himself he would not cry anymore. He had cried enough. He needed to be strong. He needed to be the man of the family now. But standing here, in front of his father's casket, hearing his sister's whispered words, Michael felt his wall begin to crack. His chest ached. His throat burned. His eyes filled with tears. He tried to hold them back. He bit his lip hard, but the tears came anyway. They spilled over and ran down his face. His shoulders shook. A sob escaped his throat. Michael put his hand on the casket next to Maya's hand. The wood felt solid and real. His father was inside. His father who taught him to ride a bike. His father who took him fishing. His father who made mistakes but loved him anyway. "Dad," Michael said. His voice broke. "I promise I will take care of Maya. I promise I will be strong. I promise I will make you proud." He could barely speak through his tears. "I wish you had told us the truth," Michael said. "I wish you had brought us home. But I understand. I understand you were sick. I understand you were scared. And I forgive you too." Maya reached over and took her brother's hand. They stood together, holding hands, with their other hands on their father's casket. They cried together. All the pain from the last 2 years poured out. All the confusion and abandonment and heartbreak came out in their tears. Patricia watched from behind them. She cried silently. She was so proud of these children. They had been through so much, but they were still here. They were still kind. They were still loving. Father O'Brien approached the twins slowly. He wore his white and gold robes. His face was gentle and sad. He placed one hand on Michael's shoulder and one hand on Maya's shoulder. "Your father is at peace now," Father O'Brien said softly. "He is with God. He is no longer sick. He is no longer in pain. And he is watching over you both. He will always watch over you." "Do you really believe that?" Maya asked. She looked up at the priest with red, swollen eyes. "Yes, child, I truly believe that. Your father's love for you did not end when his body died. Love never dies. It lives forever." Michael wiped his face with his sleeve. "I wanted to tell him I loved him one more time," Michael said. "I never got to say it." He knew," Father O'Brien said. "He always knew. And he wanted me to tell you something. He told me this 2 months ago when he came to witness the will." "What did he say?" Maya asked. "He said, 'Tell my children that I am sorry. Tell them that I love them. Tell them to be strong and take care of each other. Tell them that even though I made mistakes, being their father was the greatest honor of my life.'" Michael's tears came faster. Maya sobbed and pressed her forehead against the casket. The twins stayed there for a long time. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Nobody rushed them. Nobody told them to move. People in the pews sat quietly and waited. They understood. These children needed this time. These children deserved this time. Patricia finally stepped forward. She placed her hands gently on both twins' shoulders. "My darlings," she said softly, "it is time to let your father rest now. He will always be in your hearts. But we need to say our final goodbye." Maya lifted her head from the casket. She kissed her hand and placed it on the wood one last time. "Goodbye, Daddy. I love you forever." Michael took a deep breath. He stood up straight. He looked at the casket with red eyes. "Goodbye, Dad. Thank you for protecting us. Thank you for loving us." Patricia led them back a few steps. Father O'Brien moved to the front of the church. He raised his hands. "Let us pray," Father O'Brien said. Everyone in the church bowed their heads. Father O'Brien led a final prayer for Robert's soul. He asked God to welcome Robert into heaven. He asked God to give comfort to Robert's children and family. He asked God to bring justice and peace. When the prayer ended, people began to stand and move toward the exits. But many of them stopped to speak to Patricia, Michael, and Maya first. Mr. Henderson came over. He shook Michael's hand firmly. "The stores are doing very well, son," Mr. Henderson said. "I will keep them running smoothly until you are old enough to take over. Your father built something good. I will protect it for you." "Thank you, Mr. Henderson," Michael said. Carol hugged Maya gently. "If you ever need anything, sweetheart, you call me. Your father was like family to me. That makes you family too." "Thank you, Miss Carol," Maya said. One by one, people offered their condolences and support. An older woman named Ruth said she would bring meals to the house. A man named Tom, who worked at the Broad Street store, said he would help with anything they needed. A woman named Jennifer, who lived on Maple Drive, said the whole neighborhood was thinking of them. For the first time in 2 years, Michael and Maya felt like they belonged to a community. They felt like people cared about them. They felt like they were not alone. Father O'Brien was the last to speak with them. He held both their hands. "You are always welcome in this church," he said. "Come whenever you need peace. Come whenever you need to feel close to your father." "We will," Maya said. "Thank you for telling the truth, Father." "It was the right thing to do," Father O'Brien said. The church slowly emptied. Patricia, Michael, and Maya walked back down the aisle together. They stepped outside into the cool afternoon air. The sun was setting now. The sky was orange and pink. Mr. Thompson waited for them on the steps. Sergeant Rodriguez stood next to him. "Mrs. Miller," Mr. Thompson said, "I will contact you this week to discuss the estate and the trust fund. There are papers to sign and arrangements to make." "Thank you, Mr. Thompson," Patricia said. "Thank you for everything." "It was my honor," he said. He looked at the twins. "Your father was a good man. I was proud to be his friend." They walked to Patricia's old Honda and drove away from the church. Nobody spoke during the drive. They were all exhausted, emotionally drained, but also, strangely, at peace. 2 days later, on a cold Monday morning, Patricia received a phone call from Officer Hayes. Evelyn was moving out of the house on Maple Drive. The officer wanted Patricia and the twins to be there to make sure everything went smoothly. Patricia hung up the phone and looked at Michael and Maya. "It is time to go home," Patricia said. The twins got into Patricia's car. The morning was cold and gray. Clouds covered the sky. Michael wore his father's old baseball cap. Maya wore her silver bracelet. They drove through Columbus toward Clintonville, toward Maple Drive, toward the house they had not seen in 2 years. Maya looked out the window as familiar streets passed by. She remembered these roads. She used to ride her bike down High Street with her father. They used to stop at the ice cream shop on the corner. That felt like a lifetime ago. Michael sat in the front seat with his arms crossed. His stomach felt tight. He was nervous about seeing the house again. He was nervous about seeing Evelyn one last time. He wanted her gone. He wanted her out of their lives forever. Patricia turned onto Maple Drive. It was a quiet street with old trees and nice houses. Most of the houses had 2 stories and front porches. Some had swings. Some had flower gardens. In the fall, the street looked beautiful with orange and yellow leaves everywhere. Patricia drove slowly until she saw the house. Number 2847. It was a white house with blue shutters and a wide front porch. A big oak tree stood in the front yard. Michael had climbed that tree 100 times when he was younger. A large moving truck was parked in the driveway. The back doors were open. Two men in gray uniforms carried boxes and furniture from the house to the truck. Evelyn stood on the porch, pointing and giving orders. She wore jeans and a plain sweatshirt. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail. She looked tired and angry. Mr. Thompson stood on the sidewalk with his briefcase. Officer Jennifer Hayes stood next to him in her police uniform. She had a notebook in her hand. She was writing down everything that went into the truck. Patricia parked across the street. She turned off the engine, but nobody got out of the car yet. They just sat and watched. "That's our house," Maya said quietly. "I forgot how much I missed it." "Me too," Michael said. His voice was rough with emotion. Patricia reached over and squeezed Michael's hand. "It is your house again now," Patricia said. "Evelyn has no power here anymore." One of the movers carried a large box down the porch steps. Evelyn followed him, checking her phone. She looked up and saw Patricia's car parked across the street. She saw the twins sitting inside, watching her. Her face twisted with anger. She glared at them for a long moment, then turned away sharply. "She hates us," Maya said. "She hates that she lost," Patricia corrected. "There is a difference." Mr. Thompson noticed Patricia's car. He walked across the street and leaned down to speak through the driver's window. "Good morning, Mrs. Miller," Mr. Thompson said. "I am glad you are here. We are making sure Mrs. Davis only takes her personal belongings. Nothing that belonged to Robert." "How much longer will this take?" Patricia asked. "Another hour or two. She has a lot of things, mostly clothes and shoes." "Clothes and shoes she bought with my father's money," Michael said bitterly. Mr. Thompson nodded. "Yes, unfortunately, there is no way to recover that money, but at least she cannot take anything else." They watched as the movers carried more boxes. One man carried a lamp. Another carried a chair. Officer Hayes checked each item on her list. She made sure nothing valuable was being stolen. Suddenly, one of the movers came out of the house carrying a large painting. It was a landscape painting of the Ohio countryside, fields and trees, and a red barn. The frame was thick and made of gold-painted wood. Mr. Thompson saw the painting and immediately walked toward the porch. His voice was firm and loud. "Stop right there!" The mover froze on the porch steps. He looked confused. "Put that painting down," Mr. Thompson said. "That is not Mrs. Davis's property." Evelyn came to the door. Her face was red with anger. "Yes, it is. Robert gave that to me as a gift." "Do you have proof?" Mr. Thompson asked calmly. "Do you have a card, a receipt, anything in writing that says it was a gift?" Evelyn opened her mouth, but no words came out. She had no proof. "That painting belonged to Robert's parents," Mr. Thompson continued. "It hung in their living room for 30 years. When they died, Robert inherited it. It is part of the estate. It stays in the house." "That is not fair," Evelyn shouted. "Fair?" Mr. Thompson's voice became hard. "You want to talk about what is fair? You stole 2 years from those children. You spent over $80,000 of Robert's money on yourself and your boyfriend. You have no right to complain about fairness." Officer Hayes stepped forward. "Ma'am, put the painting back inside. Now." The mover looked at Evelyn. Evelyn clenched her fists, but she nodded. The mover carried the painting back into the house. Evelyn cursed under her breath and went back inside. Michael smiled slightly. It felt good to see Mr. Thompson stand up to her. "I like him," Michael said. "So do I," Patricia agreed. The movers continued working. They carried bags of clothes. They carried boxes of shoes. They carried makeup and hair products. They carried kitchen items that Evelyn had bought. Officer Hayes checked everything carefully. After 2 hours, the truck was full. The movers closed the back doors and locked them. They climbed into the front of the truck. The engine started with a loud rumble. Evelyn came out of the house one last time. She carried her purse and a small suitcase. She looked at the house with hard eyes. She did not look sad. She looked angry that her plan had failed. She walked toward the truck. Then she stopped and turned to look across the street at Patricia's car. She stared directly at Michael and Maya. Her expression was cold and hateful. Maya shrank back in her seat. Michael stared back at Evelyn without blinking. He would not give her the satisfaction of looking scared. Evelyn opened her mouth like she wanted to say something, but then she closed it. She had nothing to say, no apology, no explanation. She climbed into the passenger seat of the moving truck. The driver shifted gears, and the truck pulled away from the house. It drove down Maple Drive and turned the corner. Then it was gone. Evelyn was gone. Officer Hayes walked across the street to Patricia's car. "The house is clear, ma'am," Officer Hayes said. "You can go inside now." Mr. Thompson came over too. He pulled a set of keys from his briefcase and handed them to Patricia. "These are the house keys," Mr. Thompson said. "The house is fully paid for. There is no mortgage, no debt. It belongs to Michael and Maya completely." Patricia took the keys with shaking hands. She looked at them, and her eyes filled with tears. "Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Thank you for everything you have done for my grandchildren." "It was my honor, Mrs. Miller. If you need anything, please call my office." Mr. Thompson and Officer Hayes got into their cars and drove away. Patricia, Michael, and Maya sat in silence for a moment. They looked at the house, their house. "Are you ready?" Patricia asked. "Yes," Michael said. "Yes," Maya said. They got out of the car and walked up the driveway. Patricia unlocked the front door. It swung open with a soft creak. They stepped inside. The house was quiet and dim. Most of the curtains were closed. The furniture was mostly gone. Evelyn had taken the couch and the dining table. She took the television and the kitchen chairs. But she could not take the structure. She could not take the walls where memories were made. She could not take the home itself. The house still smelled familiar. It smelled like the wood polish Robert used on the hardwood floors. It smelled like home. Maya walked slowly through the living room. Her footsteps echoed in the empty space. She touched the wall where family pictures used to hang. The pictures were gone, but she could still see the outlines where they had been. Michael walked upstairs. His heart pounded as he climbed each step. He reached the top and turned left. His bedroom door was open. He stepped inside. The walls were still painted blue, the color he picked when he was 6 years old. His bed was gone. His desk was gone. But the bookshelf his father built was still there, attached to the wall. Michael walked over and touched the wood. His father's hands had built this. His father's love was in every nail and every board. Michael sat down on the floor and cried. But these were not sad tears. These were healing tears. He was home. Downstairs, Maya walked into the kitchen. The cabinets were mostly empty. The counters were bare. She walked to the sink and looked out the window at the backyard. She could see the garden where her father planted white lilies every spring. Maya opened drawers, looking around. Most of them were empty. But the bottom drawer, under the dish towels, had something inside. A small wooden box. Maya pulled it out carefully. The box had a carved heart on the lid. Maya recognized it immediately. Her father had made this box in his workshop in the garage. He was good at woodworking. He made toys and birdhouses and furniture. Maya's hands trembled as she opened the box. Inside were letters. Dozens of letters, all addressed to Michael and Maya in her father's handwriting. "Grandma," Maya called out. "Michael, come here. I found something." Patricia hurried into the kitchen from the living room. Michael came running down the stairs. Maya stood at the counter holding the small wooden box with the carved heart on the lid. Her face was wet with tears, but her eyes were bright. "What is it?" Patricia asked. "Letters," Maya said. Her voice shook. "Letters from Dad. Look." She held the box so they could see inside. The box was full of white envelopes. Each envelope had writing on the front. To Michael and Maya, in their father's handwriting. Patricia gasped and put her hand over her mouth. Michael came closer. He reached into the box and pulled out the envelope on top. He looked at the date written in the corner. August 20th. That was 2 years ago. Just 1 month after they moved out. "He wrote to us," Michael said. His voice was barely a whisper. "All this time, he was writing to us." "Why didn't he send them?" Maya asked. "I don't know, sweetheart," Patricia said. "Maybe he couldn't. Maybe Evelyn wouldn't let him. Or maybe he was too ashamed." Patricia pulled out a chair at the kitchen table. It was one of the few pieces of furniture Evelyn did not take. Patricia sat down, and the twins sat on either side of her. Maya placed the wooden box on the table between them. "Should we read them?" Maya asked. "Yes," Patricia said. "Your father wanted you to have these. That's why he hid them where Evelyn would not find them." Michael picked up the first letter. The envelope was sealed. He carefully opened it and pulled out a single sheet of lined paper. The handwriting was shaky but readable. He began reading out loud. "August 20th, my dear Michael and Maya. Today is 1 month since you moved to Grandma's apartment. I miss you so much. The house is too quiet without you. I miss hearing your voices. I miss your laughter." Michael's voice cracked, but he kept reading. "Evelyn says I need peace and quiet to get better, but I don't feel better. I feel worse. I feel empty. I made a mistake sending you away. I see that now. But I am so weak and sick. I don't know how to fix it. Please know that I love you. I think about you every morning when I wake up and every night before I sleep. Love, Dad." Maya sobbed and covered her face with her hands. Patricia wrapped her arm around Maya's shoulders and held her close. Michael folded the letter carefully and put it back in the envelope. He reached for another one. This envelope was dated October 5th. "October 5th, Michael read. My dear children, today I tried to call Grandma's apartment to talk to you, but Evelyn said I was too tired. She hung up the phone before it even rang. I wanted to tell you about the leaves changing color outside. I wanted to tell you that I saw a deer in the backyard. I wanted to hear about school. I wanted to hear your voices. I am getting weaker every day, but my love for you gets stronger. I promise I will find a way to bring you home. Love, Dad." Patricia pulled another letter from the box. This one was dated December 24th, Christmas Eve. Patricia opened it and read aloud, "December 24th, Michael and Maya. It is Christmas Eve. You came to visit today for 30 minutes. Evelyn rushed you out before we could finish talking. I wanted to give you presents. I wanted to watch you open them. I wanted to make hot chocolate and sit by the tree with you. but Evelyn said I needed to rest. After you left, I cried. A grown man crying on Christmas Eve because he misses his children. I am sorry I am weak. I'm sorry I let her control everything. I love you both. Merry Christmas, Dad." All three of them cried now. The letters were breaking their hearts and healing them at the same time. They kept reading, letter after letter. Some were long, some were short, but every single one said the same thing. Robert loved his children. Robert missed his children. Robert regretted his mistake. Michael found a letter dated March 10th, just 5 months ago. March 10th. My dear Michael and Maya, I discovered something terrible today. I found credit card bills hidden in Evelyn's drawer. She has been spending thousands of dollars. On what, I don't know. Fancy restaurants, hotels, jewelry. I confronted her and she said it was for medical supplies. But I know that is a lie. I think she is stealing from me. I think she never loved me. I think I have been a fool. I called Mr. Thompson today. He is going to help me. He is going to help me protect you. I am going to make this right. I promise, love, Dad. Maya picked up another letter. This one was dated April 22nd. April 22nd. Michael and Maya. The private investigator I hired gave me her report today. Evelyn is having an affair with a man named Kyle. There are photographs. I saw them kissing. I saw them holding hands. My heart is broken. Not because I love Evelyn. I don't think I ever did. My heart is broken because I chose her over you. I sent you away for a woman who was using me. I am the worst father in the world. I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I am going to try to earn it anyway. I changed my will today. Everything goes to you. The house, the stores, the money, everything. Evelyn gets nothing. Love, Dad. Patricia counted the letters. There were 37 in total. 37 messages of love and regret. 37 pieces of their father's heart. He never stopped thinking about us, Maya said through her tears. He never stopped loving us. No, he did not, Patricia said. He made a terrible mistake, but he tried to fix it the only way he could. Michael carefully gathered all the letters and placed them back in the wooden box. He closed the lid gently. We are keeping these forever, Michael said. This box is the most important thing we own. Agreed, Maya said. They sat at the kitchen table for a long time. The morning sun came through the window and made patterns on the floor. Outside, birds sang in the trees. The house was quiet, but it did not feel empty anymore. It felt peaceful. Finally, Patricia stood up. Come on, my darlings. Let's explore the rest of the house. Let's see what else we can find. They walked through every room. The living room was empty, except for one old chair. The dining room had nothing in it, but the walls and floors and windows were still there. The bones of the house remained. They went upstairs. Patricia looked in the master bedroom where Robert had slept. The bed was gone, but the closet still had some of Robert's clothes hanging inside. His shirts, his jackets. Patricia touched them gently and smelled them. They still smelled like him. Maya went into her old bedroom. The walls were painted pale yellow. Her bed was gone, but her small desk was still there, built into the wall. She opened the desk drawer and found old crayons and drawings she had made when she was 7 years old. Michael's room still had his blue walls and his bookshelf. He found an old baseball glove on the top shelf. His father had given it to him for his 8th birthday. Michael slipped his hand inside the glove. It fit perfectly now. He had grown. Patricia noticed a ladder in the hallway ceiling, a ladder that pulled down to the attic. She had not been up there in years. "Let's check the attic," Patricia said. She pulled the ladder down. It creaked but held steady. Michael climbed up first, then Maya, then Patricia. The attic was dusty and dim. Light came through one small window. Boxes were stacked against the walls. Old furniture sat covered in white sheets. Maya walked to a stack of boxes near the window. She opened the top one. Inside were photo albums, thick albums with leather covers. She pulled one out and opened it. "Grandma! Michael, look at this!" Michael and Patricia came over. Maya held the album open. The pages were filled with photographs. Pictures of Robert holding 2 tiny babies in the hospital. Pictures of the twins' first birthday with cake all over their faces. Pictures of Christmas mornings and Easter egg hunts and family dinners. "I forgot about these," Patricia said. "Robert kept all the family photos up here." They found 5 photo albums in total. They sat on the dusty attic floor and looked through every page. There were hundreds of photographs. Robert teaching Michael to ride a bike at Goodale Park. Maya and Robert making cookies in the kitchen. The whole family at the Columbus Zoo looking at elephants. Robert pushing the twins on swings. Robert helping them build a snowman. Every picture showed a happy family. A father who loved his children. Children who loved their father. Before the cancer, before Evelyn, before everything fell apart. "We had such a good life," Maya said. "I almost forgot." "You had a wonderful life," Patricia said, "and you will have a wonderful life again. This is just the beginning." Michael found a picture of Robert standing in front of his first hardware store. The sign above the door read, "Davis Hardware, Grand Opening." Robert looked young and proud. His whole life was ahead of him. "I want to run the stores someday," Michael said. "Just like Dad did." "You will, sweetheart," Patricia said. "When you are ready." They carefully carried all 5 photo albums downstairs. They placed them on the kitchen counter next to the wooden box of letters. "I have an idea," Patricia said. "Let's create a memory wall. We can hang photographs all over the living room wall. We can see your father's face every day. We can remember all the love and all the happy times." "I love that idea," Maya said. "Me too," Michael agreed. And they spent the rest of the afternoon going through the albums. They chose their favorite photographs. Maya picked the picture of her and Robert baking cookies. Michael picked the picture of Robert teaching him to ride a bike. Patricia picked a picture of all 4 of them from 5 years ago at Thanksgiving dinner. Everyone was smiling. Patricia drove to a store and bought picture frames, nails, and a hammer. When she came back, they worked together to hang the photographs on the living room wall. One by one, the pictures went up. Soon, the entire wall was covered with memories. When they finished, they stood back and looked at their work. The wall was beautiful. Robert's face smiled at them from a dozen different photographs. The twins as babies. The twins as toddlers. The twins growing up, surrounded by love. "He is still with us," Maya said softly. "In every picture, in every memory, he is still here." "Yes," Patricia said, "he will always be here." The sun was setting outside. Orange light filled the living room. The 3 of them stood together looking at the memory wall. The house felt like home again. 1 week later, Patricia got a phone call. Patricia answered the phone on the 3rd ring. It was Mr. Thompson calling from his office. "Good morning, Mrs. Miller," Mr. Thompson said. "I have some good news. The Franklin County Family Court has scheduled your guardianship hearing for next Monday at 10 o'clock in the morning. Judge Rebecca Wilson will hear your case." Patricia's heart lifted. She had been waiting for this call. "That is wonderful news, Mr. Thompson. What do I need to bring?" "Just yourself and the children. I will bring all the necessary documents. This should be very simple. There are no other family members contesting the guardianship. The judge will almost certainly approve it." "Thank you so much," Patricia said. "You have done so much for us." "It is my pleasure, Mrs. Miller. I will see you Monday morning." Patricia hung up the phone and walked into the living room. Michael and Maya sat on the floor, looking through one of the photo albums. They had been doing this every day since they found them. "That was Mr. Thompson," Patricia said. "We have a court hearing next Monday. The judge is going to make me your legal guardian officially." "What does that mean?" Maya asked. "It means I will have the legal right to make decisions for you. About school, about doctors, about everything. It means you will stay with me until you are adults." "We already knew that," Michael said. "We never want to live anywhere else." "I know, sweetheart, but the law needs to make it official. It is just a formality." The following Monday morning, Patricia dressed the twins in nice clothes. Michael wore khaki pants and a button-up shirt. Maya wore a simple blue dress. They drove to the Franklin County Courthouse downtown. The building was large and made of gray stone with tall columns in front. Inside, they met Mr. Thompson in the lobby. He wore his usual gray suit and carried his briefcase. He led them to a courtroom on the third floor. The room had wooden benches and a large desk at the front, where the judge sat. Judge Rebecca Wilson was a woman in her 60s, with short gray hair and kind eyes. She wore a black robe. She looked at the papers Mr. Thompson had filed. Then she looked at Patricia and the twins. "Mrs. Miller, please step forward," Judge Wilson said. Patricia stood at a table in front of the judge. Michael and Maya sat in the front row behind her. "I have reviewed your petition for guardianship," Judge Wilson said. "I have also reviewed the documentation of Robert Davis's death and his last will and testament. The will clearly states that he wanted you to care for his children." "Yes, Your Honor," Patricia said. "I love these children as my own. I want to give them a stable and loving home." Judge Wilson looked at Michael and Maya. "Children, please come forward." The twins stood and walked to stand next to their grandmother. They looked small in the big courtroom. "Michael and Maya, do you want to live with your grandmother?" Judge Wilson asked gently. "Yes," Michael said firmly. "Yes, please," Maya added. "Are you happy living with her?" "Yes, Your Honor," they both said together. Judge Wilson smiled. She picked up her gavel. "Then it is my honor to grant this petition. Patricia Miller, you are now the legal guardian of Michael Robert Davis and Maya Elizabeth Davis. Congratulations." She banged the gavel once. The sound echoed in the courtroom. Patricia started crying. Happy tears. She hugged both twins tightly. "Thank you, Your Honor," Patricia said. "Thank you so much." Mr. Thompson shook Patricia's hand and congratulated her. They signed some papers and received official copies. Then they left the courthouse. It was done. They were officially a family. That same week, Patricia enrolled the twins at Clintonville Elementary School on East North Broadway. It was the same school they had attended before they moved to her apartment 2 years ago. The principal, Mrs. Anderson, remembered them. She welcomed them back warmly. "We are so glad to have you both back," Mrs. Anderson said. "Your teachers have been informed about your situation. If you need anything, my door is always open." Michael was placed in 5th grade with Mr. Patterson as his teacher. Maya was placed in 5th grade with Mrs. Chen. The twins were in different classrooms, but they ate lunch together every day. On Michael's first day back, Mr. Patterson made an announcement. "Class, we have Michael Davis returning to our school. Let's make him feel welcome." The kids clapped. Some of Michael's old friends waved at him. A boy named Jake, who used to sit next to Michael in 3rd grade, gave him a high five. "Welcome back, man," Jake said. "Want to play soccer at recess?" "Yeah," Michael said. He had not played soccer in 2 years. "I'd like that." At recess, they played on the big field behind the school. Michael was rusty at first, but his skills came back quickly. He scored 2 goals. It felt good to run and play and just be a kid again. After school, Mr. Patterson told Michael about the school soccer team. "We practice every Tuesday and Thursday after school," Mr. Patterson said. "Games are on Saturdays. I remember you were a good player before. Would you like to join the team again?" Michael's face lit up. "Really? I can join?" "Of course! I would be happy to have you." Michael ran to find Patricia in the school parking lot. He told her the news. She smiled and hugged him. "Your father would be so proud," Patricia said. Maya's first day was similar. Mrs. Chen was kind and understanding. At lunch, a girl named Emma sat next to Maya. "I remember you," Emma said. "We were in 2nd grade together. You used to draw really pretty pictures." "I still draw sometimes," Maya said shyly. "That's cool. Do you want to sit with me and my friends?" Maya smiled. "Yes, thank you." That afternoon, Mrs. Anderson called Maya to her office. Maya was nervous, but Mrs. Anderson just smiled. "Maya, I remember you have a beautiful singing voice. We have a school choir that meets every Wednesday after school. Would you be interested in joining?" Maya's eyes went wide. She loved singing. She used to sing with her father when he played guitar. "Yes," Maya said. "I would love that." "Wonderful. Practice starts this Wednesday at 3 o'clock. That week, Mr. Thompson called Patricia to discuss the financial arrangements. He came to the house on Maple Drive with folders full of paperwork. They sat at the kitchen table while the twins did homework in the living room. "The 3 hardware stores are performing very well," Mr. Thompson explained. "Mr. Henderson has been managing them excellently. Last year, the stores earned a combined profit of $120,000. Patricia's eyes widened. That was a lot of money. "I have set up a trust fund for Michael and Maya," Mr. Thompson continued. "All profits from the stores go into the trust. The life insurance money of $300,000 is also in the trust. Plus, the savings accounts totaling $450,000. He showed her the numbers on paper. In total, the trust currently holds $750,000. That money will grow with interest and continued profits from the stores. When the twins turn 18, they will have full access to it." "That is incredible," Patricia said. "They will be able to go to any college they want." "Yes, and more. But until they turn 18, you are the trustee. That means you can use trust money for their needs: education, medical care, clothes, food, activities, anything they need." "I have my own savings," Patricia said. "I don't want to waste their money." "Mrs. Miller, this money exists to take care of them. Use it. That is what Robert wanted." Patricia nodded slowly. "There is one more thing," Mr. Thompson said. "The house. It is fully paid off. No mortgage. But there are still property taxes and utilities and maintenance costs. Those can also come from the trust." "Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Thank you for managing everything so carefully." "It is my honor. Robert was my friend. I will protect his children's future as long as I live." Every Sunday, Patricia took Michael and Maya to Green Lawn Cemetery on Brown Road. Robert's grave was in a quiet section under a large maple tree. The headstone was simple, gray granite with carved letters. Robert James Davis, beloved father, June 5th, 1978 to September 10th, 2023. Below that was carved a lily flower. The twins brought fresh white lilies every week. They placed them in the stone vase at the base of the headstone. Then they sat on the grass and talked to their father. "Hi, Dad," Maya always started. "We had a good week. I got an A on my spelling test. I sang a solo in choir practice. Mrs. Anderson said I did really well. I scored 3 goals in our soccer game yesterday," Michael added. "We won 5-2. Coach Patterson said I played great." They told him about school and friends and homework. They told him funny stories. They told him they missed him. They told him they loved him. Patricia sat nearby and prayed quietly. She talked to her son, too. She told him she was proud of him for protecting his children. She told him she would take care of them forever. Mr. Thompson had also arranged for the twins to see a therapist. Her name was Dr. Laura Bennett. She worked at Nationwide Children's Hospital on Livingston Avenue. She specialized in helping children deal with grief and trauma. Every Thursday afternoon, Patricia drove the twins to Dr. Bennett's office. The office was colorful and comfortable. It had soft chairs and toys and books. Dr. Bennett was a kind woman in her 40s with curly brown hair and a warm smile. "How are you feeling this week, Maya?" Dr. Bennett asked during one session. "Better," Maya said. "I still miss my dad, but it doesn't hurt as much as before." "That is good. Grief takes time. It is okay to feel sad, but it is also okay to feel happy again." "Sometimes I feel guilty when I laugh," Maya admitted. "Like I'm forgetting Dad." "You are not forgetting him," Dr. Bennett said gently. "Laughing and being happy honors his memory. He wanted you to have a joyful life, right?" Maya thought about the letters, about how her father wanted her to be happy. Yes, he did. Then live that joyful life. That is the best way to remember him. Dr. Bennett helped Michael too. Michael struggled with anger. He was angry at Evelyn, angry at the situation, sometimes angry at his father for making a mistake. "It is okay to be angry," Dr. Bennett told him. "Anger is a normal emotion, but we need to make sure anger doesn't control you. We need to find healthy ways to express it." "How?" Michael asked. "Sports help, exercise helps, talking about it helps, writing helps. What makes you feel better?" "Playing soccer," Michael said. "When I'm running and playing, I don't think about anything else. I just play." "Then keep playing. Keep doing things that make you feel good." Slowly, week by week, month by month, the twins healed. They made friends at school. They enjoyed their activities. They laughed more. They cried less. The house on Maple Drive felt like home. The memory wall in the living room reminded them daily of their father's love. 6 months passed. It was now March. Michael and Maya turned 11 years old. Patricia planned a birthday party at the house. She invited their classmates, their teachers, and friends from the hardware stores. She baked a large chocolate cake with chocolate frosting, Maya's favorite. She decorated the living room with balloons and streamers in blue and yellow. She bought party games and prizes. On Saturday afternoon, 20 kids arrived for the party. They played games in the backyard. They ate pizza and cake. They sang Happy Birthday while Michael and Maya blew out 11 candles. Maya closed her eyes and made a wish. She wished that her father could see them now. She wished he knew they were okay. Michael closed his eyes and wished for strength. Strength to keep his promise. Strength to make his father proud. That evening, after the guests left, Patricia sat with the twins in the living room. They looked at the memory wall together. So many photographs, so many happy moments. "Your father is watching over you," Patricia said softly. "I truly believe that." Maya looked at a photograph of her father smiling. "I know he is, Grandma. I can feel it." Michael stood up and walked to the memory wall. He placed his hand on the photograph of his father. "We made it, Dad," Michael whispered. "We are okay, we are home, and we will make you proud. I promise." Patricia wiped tears from her eyes. These children had been through so much. They lost their father. They were rejected and hurt. But they survived. They were strong. They were loved. They were home. "Family is not always about blood," Patricia said. "Family is about who stays, who protects you, who loves you no matter what." "Like you, Grandma," Maya said. She hugged Patricia tightly. "And like Mr. Thompson," Michael added, "and Father O'Brien and Mr. Henderson, and all the people who helped us." "Yes," Patricia said, "you are surrounded by love. Never forget that." The twins learned many lessons in their young lives. They learned that people can be cruel and greedy, but they also learned that people can be kind and loyal. They learned that love is stronger than greed. They learned that the truth always comes out eventually. They learned that mistakes can be forgiven. Their father made terrible mistakes. He trusted the wrong person. He sent them away. He caused them pain. But in the end, he protected them. He used the law and his will to make sure they would be safe and cared for. His final act was an act of love. That was his legacy. Love, protection, truth. And Michael and Maya would carry that legacy forward for the rest of their lives. If you enjoyed today's video, I'm sure you'll love the next one. Don't waste time. Just click on the screen.
Hey, Thrive Sphere family! If these stories resonate with you and inspire you to believe in the power of resilience and justice, we need your support to keep the momentum going. Hit the subscribe button, join our sphere, and make sure you never miss another empowering story. Like and share. If you enjoyed today's video, hit the like button and share this message of hope and accountability with your network. Turn on notifications. Don't waste time. Click the notification bell so you're always the first to know when a new story drops. Your support helps us continue sharing narratives that spark dialogue, push for change, and show the true meaning of thriving against the odds. Let's keep the conversation going. Subscribe to Thrive Sphere today.